guys, welcome back. This is going to be the weight painting tutorial for our easy rigging follow off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select those. What we need to do is hide the eyes. Don't need those because we're going to need to. It might get in the way. Weight painting, there's a few things that you might need to know, or various methods on how to do it. It's quite confusing and hard at first, but we'll try and get through it. So to enable weight painting, first of all you click on the character, not the hierarchy bones, and then you go to skin and where is it? Paint weight skins. If you hold Control Shift and click, then you get a thing up here. So mine's up here. It's just a little shortcut which is quite useful. So if you click on that, now we can see our model has some weight on it. And if you come up here, the second from the right is the tool settings, and then you get all these. So this is all of our hierarchy structure. Basically, if you just talk through this, so obviously this is how you can select different areas of your mesh to paint the different weight on different area. Keep the mode in paint. That's all you really need. Paint operation, I either use add or replace, and then this is the value. So this is how much you're painting on. So how strong do you want this weight painted on there? You can use color ramp, but I tend not to. It depends how you like to work. So it kind of sees the strength. So basically, white is strong, black is nothing, just like an alpha map or something. So anything red is really strong. Anything blue is very, very faint. So if I now start painting stuff in here, you've got white, which is really strong. You've got the red just on the outside of it, yellow, green, and then to the blue, and that shows that color gradient, and that kind of shows whereabouts this smoothness is taking place. But we're going to take that off. I tend to not use that. I can kind of see from here. Sorry, Facebook messages and that. So yeah, first of all, what I like to do is start orientating my legs. So if I move that one out and I move that one out, it doesn't matter about how we move these because we reset our transformation. So what we can do is we can start moving this out, and we can see everything that's being affected by our arms and legs. And these are the things we're going to need to sort out first. So as you can see, as I move this, there's part of the right leg that's being affected here. Right, we do not need this for the arms, so these are the areas that we need to fix, and obviously the clavicle here. So if we click on this and we go to our weight paint and enable that, we can come down to our left hip. Oh no, we'll start with the right hip, and we can just faintly see an area being painted here. So what I tend to do is I click on replace and then set the value to 0, and then I start painting out all of this because we don't need it. And if you hold B and then click and drag, you're adjusting the brush size, so that's a nice little shortcut. And then let's start painting. So what we can do is we can now start putting this in, and as you can see, the mesh is starting to readjust because we're removing the paint weight, or the weight paint, sorry. So it's not dragging from the right leg, and you have to have the right hip. That's more like the left hip, isn't it? Right, I've kind of made a mistake on that. Obviously, you might have to change yours. Don't know why I've did that. It's just because I looked at, oh, that's the left, that's the right. But technically, this will be the right and that'll be the left. So we'll work with it. Apologies on that one. Just a bit of stupidness on my part. So now we've got this erased from this side. Try and get as much as possible. We can go to the opposite hip and we can do the same because obviously that's being affected as well, and you want to just keep it relatively just half and half for now. So rotate the front, get all this. Now because this is the hip, that's not all done. We need to go down to the knees as well because the knees are pulling together. So again, do the same, come round to the back. You need to look all over your model to make sure it's all there. Maybe a bit on the ankle. Look, ankle's being pulled together. It's not good. So we can start replacing that. Come down to the ankle as well. Start readjusting. Might as well do each leg at a time. So this is the easiest way that I can say. So then we'll come to the right knee, and you always have to replace it on the opposite, yeah? Because anything that's white we want to keep, and we don't want it on this leg, so we need to remove it. Okay, so yeah, that's cool. Just get more around the ankle. Maybe I'll bring the brush size up a bit so I can just grab more. You know, the value's at 0, so it's taken everything out completely. And then we'll go down to the ankle. Just do that, rotate it round, get the rest. And then are the toes going to matter? Not really, but we'll do it just in case. Rightio. So now if we go down, we can see our hips look a lot better. So now we can start doing the same on our shoulder. And not the clavicle, it's the shoulder. So just do the left shoulder first. We do not need this, so bring the brush size down. Start bringing all this in and removing that first. Now, the thing about weight painting is when you remove something, it's got to be added somewhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all this, and where we've removed it from this area, we're going to add it to the spine around this region. So then that way it's going to sort of help us. And again, around here, we don't need this because this is more clavicle area. That'll do, and it starts shaping out the shoulder a bit more. We'll come to the right shoulder. We'll do the same. So I must admit, weight painting's not my thing. You know, I don't really enjoy it. I don't think anybody really enjoys it, but it's one of those things that have just got to be done. You know, it's quite fundamental. If you want a good animation, you've got to have good topology, you've got to have a good weight painting, you've got to have a good model, you've got to have good the lot. And that's, I think, why, you know, obviously companies employ the best of the best in their field. They're not going to start going for mediocre people because you're just going to get a mediocre result, which is quite harsh. However, it's just how this, you know, industry works. So now we've got this. If we click on the mesh and go to skin, go to bind pose, it'll reset that for us. So what we can do now is we can grab our leg, move it open, and there's no problems at all with this. There's a slight, you know, thing here with the hips. So let's go have a go with painting that. So click on the model, click our little shortcut, and then we need to go to it's the right hip, this one, isn't it? What we can probably do is we can start replacing this out, you know, to about here. Oops, Control Z. And then when you get to something like this and you think, oh no, this ain't going right now, if you hold Shift and do that, it smooths it, yeah, and that might just come in handy for when you know, for these areas. So right now I've got my leg pointing out. If I show you the difference between the two, yeah, do you see the difference between this and that? This one looks more organic. I know there's a bit of a horrible mess here, but it's a lot better than that side. Okay, so if we do that and we go to bind pose. So again, if you do that and then you go to bind pose, Control Shift, and just click that as a shortcut up here. That's easier. We can now go to our spine. Oh, we'll close the legs. They're done. So if we lock those, the legs are completed. The hip sway, that is where you're going to get most of this area. So we're going to just add some area in here. Bring up the value to about halfway and make sure you get these areas, because this is obviously the hippie area. And then just, if you want, just smooth it all out. And then we'll just start making our way up the spine. So this is the first spine, so we want a good clear distinction here. This is the area that we want affected. Smooth that out. And then go up to the spine 2, which is this area. So as you can see here, there's no weight on this area. It's because we removed it. So we can go around here and we can start adjusting. Add more weight here. Now there might be some things that I'm missing out here, some fundamentals, but this is purely just for a basic rigging tutorial. Sorry about the noise out the back, the dogs. I never like it when they do that because it's really annoying, and they always do it when I'm recording, funny enough. So what we're going to do is just smooth this out now. Again, just under here, just underneath the shoulder, like the armpits. Okay, and then we can move up to the chest. Now the chest, I only want to grab this area, or around this area, because the clavicle's going to do the work up here. Okay, and then again, smooth when you're happy with what you've got. I mean, this is really rough, but you'll see why in a sec. Like, you only really need to do one side because you can mirror these weights. Basically, if you're stuck up and you think, oh no, I don't quite know what areas to paint, the best thing to do, actually what I'll do is I'll remove it from here. I'll do that first. So replace, move that, smooth this out. Yeah, if you're not sure whereabouts to paint the weight, if you actually just look at your bone structure, so the chest is this bone here connecting all this. If you was to rotate it, how would you want your body move, to deform like it? So I could probably actually get away with just doing a little bit more up here, gone, and just smooth that out. There we go. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to select this and then go to skin and mirror skin weights. YZ. Make sure you do that. Positive to negative. Yep. Closest point on surface. Do closest joint for both of those. Oh no, 1 to 1. We'll do 1 to 1. That's probably easier. And then mirror. So then each one has now equal. Let's have a look at our shoulder. Let's see what we got. So the shoulder's moving okay. However, if I move this, yeah, no, we only need to move it here. The thing with the arms, they will not move any more, like especially the shoulder. It will not move any higher than this point. That's one thing you have to remember. So if you're putting your arm up here and you think, oh, that don't look right, don't worry. This is the most the shoulder comes to. It's then the clavicle that will then lift the shoulder from that point, and it's the clavicle that we now have an issue with. So if we now reset that and come on to our... Sorry, I'm just going to pause this while I shut the window. Sorry, guys. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully that'll be a bit quieter. What was I going to do? I was going to do this and then enable the weight, sorry. And then we'll go to the right clavicle, as this one is, although it's the left. What we need to do is we need to... Oh, yeah, this isn't good. So what we can do is we can start replacing all of this. Don't need this. We don't want anything on the arms, okay? That's bad. We don't want that. And then again, the shoulder, we can probably bring more of this out. And then the shoulder's more of a natural look. And then that's when we can start smoothing things out. Let's have a look. We can probably bring... Oops, I should be adding right now. Value of halfway to that way. Probably bring them up just a bit, smooth it across, and smooth that. So now if we bring the clavicle up, we can start seeing where we're going wrong. So click that, and then we can smooth this. Yeah, and as you can see now, the geometry is smoothing out from this weight. So that's the kind of look that we kind of want. This is a bit too sharp, this crevice in between the clavicle and the shoulder. So we can maybe start smoothing that out. Maybe actually go to the shoulder joint and do more readjustments on that. So again, smooth the shoulder joint out, not just the clavicle. All gonna work with each other, not just individually. And then what we could possibly do, a bit too much, bring the value down and just whack over that one more time and smooth them out once more. So now if I look at my movement from my clavicle, sorry, that looks a lot better. Okay, but obviously the more you go, the more it looks horrible, but that's more of an unnatural pose. So actually if I take off the X-ray, you'll be able to see. Yeah, so you can see the clavicle now working. So that contracts up to about there, and the shoulder can do the rest. Yeah, and then what we can do is do that. Go to bind pose. That's important when you want to mirror your weights. So skin, mirror skin weights. We've already done the settings, so just click it once. And then if you click on this and go to weight paint, and you look at your right clavicle, this is what it here. Then if you actually look at your left clavicle, click on it, they should be exactly the same. Okay, let's move on to the head. So the way that I do the head is I get it just under the jaw. So value to 1, add, and let's just get all of that in. Yeah, that's cool. And then the neck, basically we just want everything from the base of the neck and everything in between the head. I'm just adding in 100% here, because now what I can do is I can just smooth that, smooth this, smooth that, and again, like I did with the clavicle, the neck's not just going to work by itself, so grab the head and you can smooth that as well. And that just creates that nice blend between each joint, you know, so nothing's so sharp. So as you can see on the head here, don't need that, so we can replace that with a value of 0. You don't want all this pulling away with the head, do you? And that's the easiest way to look at it. Yeah, that's cool. Then go to the neck, and again, we do not need all of this. We can leave just a little bit up here. We're going to be smoothing that out anyway. And because I'm removing this, oops, it's always best to just go back up to the clavicles and the chest, just to ensure everything's okay. So smooth those out, go to the left clavicle, smooth these out, and the right clavicle, smooth that out a bit. So now what we can do is we can start moving our spine. That's cool. Again, don't make any unnatural movements. Don't put that one all the way down there. That is not going to happen. The spine is going to work sort of with the others. So if we start with this spine, that one will go to about there. Oops. And the next one will go to about there. And then the chest, rarely going to move, but if you do, it'll be about there. You know, and then that's how you get curvature of the body. You could probably do... Not the master, we want the hips where... Oh, yes, that's it. Didn't actually do that. You probably get away with doing more on this. Yeah, actually, it's not that bad, actually. But obviously, the more you do unnatural, the more this happens. But you can go in and smooth that if you want. Depends what kind of character you're working on. So if I grab this, go to bind pose, I think we're nearly done. Just make sure the head looks okay. So grab the head joint, and we can start rotating that. Nice. Yeah. That's good. The neck. Oh, let's see side to side. That kind of good. It kind of goes in, but you could probably do with a bit more smooth on that point, which I'll just do now. So let's go to the weight tool. Go to the neck. And then it was this area which we didn't like, so we needed probably actually best to replace that, because it's interacting a lot with the clavicle. So if we bring this all the way down, literally to the base of the neck, and then begin to smooth it, there you go. That might just be a bit more beneficial to us. So it's not conflicting with the clavicle as much. Might be wrong, but let's have a look. No, I think that's alright. And then if you just bend it, and then you click here, and then obviously weight, paint, and then, oops. You might have to go onto the clavicle for that one, so right clavicle, and start smoothing out with this. Just so there's a more resemblance. There we go, and start smoothing that out again. Make sure they all work together. Grab that. Yeah, I think that's okay for now, and then we'll bind it back to the normal bind pose and mirror the skin weights. So now we should be done with most of it anyway. With the whole body. Now it's just literally getting those little joints in. So the hip, Doesn't look as bad. I mean, that crutch area is really awkward to do actually when I did this, but what you can do a bigger brush, oops, less value, sorry, what am I doing? Just bring more of this up in the hip, that's where it's going to move from, and then start smoothing. Just want to make sure each of these are sort of moving correctly, so smooth it up so that kind of gets dragged along with this, because that's kind of what you need. Bit of a tension here, and it always usually is, but if you really wanted to fix that, you could use something called blend shapes, and what that does is it basically inflates the area, smooths it all out for you. That doesn't look too bad, although when you do bend it you get the horrible stretching, you know. I mean, that ain't bad, that is not bad. I mean, what we can do is again come here and start smoothing out on the knee, sorry. Come up to the hip and do the same. We could probably actually add more into the thigh here, so that they actually just sort of close in on each other. There we go. And then maybe just a few more little smoothing bits. That's a bit better, I think. Go back. Actually, do the ankle. And the dog's on my door. What are you doing, stupid dog? There we go. Now the thing with this is I wanted the foot to move organically, but I needed to support the back of the shoe as well. If I do that, the shoe goes in. So if I grab that and then go onto the right ankle, I need to make sure all this is kind of, you know, quite solid. So let's do all of that. Something along these lines here. Obviously want the ankle involved, and then obviously the toes will be something different. So let's have a look now. I'm an idiot, I've done the wrong thing. That shouldn't be like that. That should have less less value actually. Right, go back to bind pose, weight paint on the ankle, and replace. Sorry guys, that was my fault. Do that in that area, and smooth, maybe one more. Let's just give that a go. There we go. So as we can bend it, we can see this pinch in here, which we've now got. Don't need that at all. So that is where we can start smoothing here. Add value. We can add this, but start smoothing that out. So now if I look at my model, the shoe, it can do a little bit more tweaking on it, but it looks okay. I think most of it is around this area here. So anyway, so you get the idea. That's the sort of system that I needed, because obviously my shoes need to stay on, but they can't start going into my leg. So the shoes look okay. Don't want too much stretching there. It's fine. And then the toes. These are always a bit awkward for me. See what I mean? Pulling away here. So if I click on this and go to this and then go to toes, I do not need any of this. So replace. Go to 0. And we can restore all this. Now the reason why some things might not be happening is because you got weight on something like this, if you're trying to smooth something out and it's not smoothing properly, it's most likely you've got weight on that area from another limb. So, you know, that's quite important. Now with the toe, you only sort of need to lift it up a bit, which that's not too bad actually, because obviously the toes rarely point down, they always point up. So we can go back to bind there, and then just the elbows and whatnot, just making sure they bend. And then that's going to conclude this weight effectors tutorial, sorry, in Maya. I mean, it is a bit of a pain, but like I said, it's just one of those fundamental things that have got to be done. So we can add that. The wrists. Bring that in, and then the wrist, so we can start removing the weights here, because this is purely just the wrist. I actually got that wrong as well, but that's no problem. Now what am I doing? I've actually done that wrong. I've removed too much weight on that end. There we go. So, because obviously this is the wrist, that's the forearm. That's no problem. I don't think that's going to rotate the wrist, purely because it's the tip. It's the bone that does it, but that's just the forearm. So, another mistake on my part. My bad. But that's alright. We can. It's only just a basic, so obviously, if you really wanted to do a really nice rig, you would spend a lot more time doing it. This is just quickly thrown together. So I guess it just goes to show, if you try and rush something, it just doesn't always plan out the way you want. You know. It'd be a bit different if I've not done it before, but unfortunately I have gone through the painstaking task. So there we go, just move those together. There we go, it's more organically shaped. And then that bind pose, and we can mirror our weights once more. And there you go, guys. We should have a nice character that we can. Let's just do some random poses for. There we go. And then again, don't forget, you know, a lot of stuff can be changed. You know, blend shapes and stuff like that. Let's do the neck here, and then the head. Up there. Probably a bit too high on the neck there. I think that's a bit on the verge of breaking it. And then the head, more of a natural pose. We can bring this one back. And the reason I'm doing this is just purely so you guys can see the deformation that this character has when moved. Take it off. So that's basically it, guys. That is how we can rig our character, and we can create, you know, or adjust the skin weights to match something we want. I could go into this and spend a bit more time, because obviously, what is this, 28 minutes now? I spent a whole day doing my character, you know, fixing these issues. Obviously, this shoe's being pulled away, that shoe's being pulled away. So these are issues that I would have to address, but that's the basic principle. I'm not going to go too much into it, because obviously I would just be wasting a lot of time. I've shown you everything on here so far, so it should be good. So again, if you have any questions, please pop this in the comments section, and I'll try my best to help. And then hopefully in the next few tutorials, if I bring this back up, I'll show you how to create little controls like this, and how we can parent and constrain them together, because that's quite important, because we won't touch these bones that we've just created. You know, what I could actually do is I can hide all of these bones, and then I can just use these controllers, you know, as means to animate, you know, and everything's really nice. Again, I've got little switches here which go from IK, so if I hit that to 0, it's gone into my FK mode. And if you actually look, the way I've done this is if it's in IK, I've got the IK controls, and if I switch that to FK, we've got FK controls. So, you know, again, that's something called set driven keys. So then you can just grab this, move it up, you know, move it forward, grab the wrist, grab the wrist, and when I rotate the wrist, the forearm rotates with it, as it would in real life, you know, do the hips sway, you know, like the, that is not combined. So, oh, I know why, because it's translation, it's combined only on the rotation axis, so you can get a little dance going, you know, all that cringy stuff. This one's translatable because it's the center of gravity. So yeah, and that is how you will create a final rig for your character, guys. So hopefully I'll get to all this stage, you know, even to the point where the eyes move. So, you know, grab this, the eyes will follow, you know, you grab one of those and the eye does that, and then the other eye goes in. You can do cross-eyed, and then various things like the jaw can rotate open, and we're going to hopefully come onto that in future tutorials. So I know it's quite basic at the minute with just that stuff, but that's the stuff that I hope to go into if you are interested. So if you want to see that, put a comment in the section, like the video and whatnot. So I'll see you next video, guys. Peace.